of this country, and they are not even safe in the Federal Capital Territory, over which he superintends as minister, and which is even a security zone. If the government of Nigeria cannot secure its own Federal Capital Territory, which is the seat of power, then of course it means that the rest of us have been turned adrift. And for a minister to come and tell us that this is propaganda, no, I think it's scandalous. Absolutely. But he may, after a fashion, come and say he was quoted out of context, or that it was misrepresented. That's what government officials say. Yeah, and they will say it's the Arise people trying to misinterpret.
No, he's the minister.
I thought nobody is deaf on this table. Well, I thought we heard clearly what he said.
Dr. Abati. We'll take another story. The Department of State Services have debunked claims that the president of Miyetti Allah, Kotohore, Bello Bodejo, is in its custody. On Tuesday, reports began circulating that Bodejo was arrested by the DSS over the unveiling of a vigilante group in Nasarawa State last week. Bodejo had said that the Nomad Vigilante Group, which is made up of 1,144 Fulani youth, selected from various communities in the 13 local government areas of the state, would assist security agencies in combating criminal activities in the north-central state. Well, Peter Afunaya, spokesperson of the DSS, in a statement on Tuesday evening, clarified that Bodejo was never arrested by the agency. Over to you, Ayo. You recall, I believe it was even just yesterday that this news began circulating that the Army and the DSS barged into the headquarters of the Miyetti Allah to, arrest him. I mean, they said in the claim that the DSS had said that Miyetti Allah was not registered in the DSS or, any security agencies in line with the federal government rules of even unveiling a vigilante group such as this. This story has raised a lot of questions as to how is it possible that this same set of group of people are some of the people that have been, alleged or fingered into these types of terrorist acts in the north central states.
I think if the DSS doesn't have him in their custody, maybe they should invite him, because that's what we should be talking about. Yeah. It's quite surprising to hear that non-state actors have the boldness to create their own security architecture, be bold enough to release this, and then make statements that totally embarrasses the security agencies by saying that by doing this, they have lost confidence in the ability of the security agencies provided by the state to provide security. And I think that is what a key issue for me here. The fact and the boldness, because it's Miyetti Allah today. Other groups can then also come up. Tomorrow, what's our friend that is not happy anymore with the president? The singing Asari Dokubo would come. And that's what we've seen in recent times. And the fact that they've held or handled these things with kids' gloves means that more non-state actors have the boldness to come up like this. And very soon they too might decide to brandish weapons and say that because we don't feel safe, we need to protect our own people. That's what he was saying, the reason for setting up this group. It needs to be investigated. The DSS has come out to say that they don't have him in his custody, so perhaps there's nothing, there for them to investigate. But I do believe that if not the DSS, then security agencies must do so. So whilst the IG of police, Kayode Egbetokun, is announcing his SIS, Miyetti Allah too is announcing their own group. So another group too. So it's just a free-for-all.
Absolutely.
We have emphasized on the show the importance of securing lives and property in Nigeria. And unfortunately, so far, this administration hasn't demonstrated the capacity to totally deal with the insecurity situation. However, they have made promises. We are hopeful. We're looking forward to them, beyond saying the right things and making the right statements, and launching new special intervention squads to actually deal with kidnapping, banditry, terrorists, and not some people who accuse themselves of being suspect, being at the forefront of leading this charge.
Aya, you have said it all. We have highlighted on this show how to tackle insecurity. Last week, we talked about Femi Otedola adding 1 billion naira into that Lagos State Security Trust Fund. We also saw the Kaduna State Governor also unveiling the State Security Fund. Well, the Osun State Governor also, Ademola Adeleke, has directed the establishment of the State Security Trust Fund as part of efforts to secure lives and property of residents in the state. The governor said the fund will operate on a public-private partnership model in close collaboration with corporate organizations, business communities, industrialists, and critical stakeholders. Adeleke also stated that the fund, which will be deployed for the provision of material and logistic support for security operatives in the state, will be set up by a committee, which will include members of the security services with a view to proffering solutions to security challenges facing the state. I mean, last week we did talk about it. We have to encourage all state governors to try and emulate this model. It's a no-brainer. You get, the private sector to invest to try to help the security situation, not this type of Meeti Allah groups that are not recognized by the federal government. I mean, only last week, Dr. Bati talked about the fact that, we were all shouting when Boko Haram was, reintroduced into the society. Now we are hearing that the Nigerian Defense Headquarters is saying that they have released over 1,000 terrorists in Borno State from 2016 to 2022.
Oji, I fear for this country. And what I'm going to say this morning is instructive and seminal. A nation that is having too many militia is on the brink. We might not want to hear it, but it's the hard truth. And I'll segue into the editorial by The Economist. A nation that is having too many militia is on the brink. Miyeti Allah Kaltahore. We remember, we know the antecedents of Miyeti Allah. We remember the wranglings and the back and forth. Remember what cattle breeders would normally face, or herders would normally face with farmers. And now they are going ahead to set up their own brigade of some sort. And they are putting those people out there, 1,000 of them, in the mix of things. Let us be careful the fire we are lighting in this country. Let us be careful. A country where you are having too many militia is failing as we speak. The government, the states, must have the autonomy and the strongest force of violence. That's what makes a state. If a state loses its capacity for violence and have the biggest autonomy of violence, then that state is not a state. And that's why that state cannot do what is stated in the Constitution, Section 14, providing security.
Absolutely.
We are having too many militias in Nigeria. Let us wake up.
Yeah, I would have loved to take our final story, Dr. Bati, but I think this is such an important story about, Osun State establishing the Security Trust Fund and this idea of Meeti Allah unveiling a security outfit.
Okay, number one, I think the fact that Osun State government is also establishing a security trust fund is a good idea. You know that the Nigerian police or the security agencies, they are under-equipped, they are underfunded, they are poorly resourced. As a result of that, state governments set up their own security trust fund and they mobilize the private sector to help. And the most successful model is the Lagos State model. So now Osun State, Kaduna State, even at a point federal government, trying to buy into that Lagos State idea. It's a tribute to the vision of those who came up with the idea of the Lagos State Security Trust Fund. Osun State does not have to reinvent the wheel. They have the Lagos State model to study. And incidentally, the governor of Lagos State was a pioneer member of the board of the Lagos State Security Trust Fund. And as governor, he has shown continued commitment to these ideas. So they have Babajide Sanwo-Olu to give them whatever blueprint they are looking for. Number two is that they need to mobilize the private sector because the private sector, funds the Lagos State Initiative heavily. And you cited the example of Femi Otedola and others who have continued to support that program. The third is to pay attention to integrity of the administration. As for Miyeti Allah, setting up his own brigade of vigilantes, the Constitution recognizes only one armed forces, only one Nigerian police force. So any other thing that you see people create, whether it's MASOP or it is OPC or it is any group in any part of Nigeria, is a comment on the failure of the Nigerian state to secure people. The funny thing about this Miyeti Allah thing is that the secretary of Miyeti Allah was saying that when the vigilante group was inaugurated, the commissioner of police was there. Military leaders were there. And that they cannot claim that they don't know that it exists. So, but the problem is about the state of security in Nigeria. Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.